I think I'd like to talk about three topics, and I'd like to get right into it. One is the Economic Recovery Act, which some of you know is the Stimulus Act. I'd like to talk a little bit about that and what impact that would have, and how, I guess, primarily we can utilize it, municipalities and many of the people that are in this room. And secondly, I'd like to talk about the climate change legislation that's moving through the House and the Senate, and particularly through my committee, the Energy and Commerce Committee, and what the timeline is and what we expect to be in that. And lastly, just give you a quick talk a little bit about energy efficiency and some of the things that we're doing on energy efficiency, because I think that's such an important part of the debate. And getting right into the stimulus package, I'm told not to call it the stimulus package. President Obama refers to it as such, but we call it the Economic Recovery Package. And you know that it was signed by the President on February 17th, and of course there's so many different aspects to it: tax cuts, transportation infrastructure. But mainly, it really does a lot to invest in green jobs, which I think is probably one of the most important parts of it. And it does that, it puts people to work, and it primarily focuses, I would say, on two things. One is to double our renewable energy production and also renovate public buildings to make them more energy efficient. What I did in preparation today, what my office did in preparation today, we didn't hand it out to you because I know this is an environmental conference and we shouldn't be using a lot of paper. But the mayor has it on his website, which is www.jerseycitynj.gov. And if you go to it, and I'll just reference it a few points today, it's called the Roadmap to the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act Energy Provisions. And what we've done is basically by department, this is all federal. For example, there are 15 programs in the Department of Energy, but then it also talks about program funding directly to cities, HUD, Department of Labor. And what we've done is to break down each of the programs that are available under the Stimulus Act and how they fit into the department, what they do, how much money is available, and also how to apply for it. So I would encourage you to go to that. Not only those who represent municipalities, but those who would hook up to those programs through municipalities. I was going to mention two of them now, if I could, just as examples. One of them is the Weatherization Assistance Program, and if you actually, this one is actually funded through the state of New Jersey, and I'll just give you an example of what what we give you here, so you get an idea. It says Weatherization Assistance Program, federal funding $5 million, New Jersey funding $121 million, and it gives a little description of how it assists low-income families to reduce their energy costs by sending funds to the states to weatherize low-income homes, and it tells you how to apply, in this case through the state. Another one, just to give you an example, is the Green Worker Training Program, which is very helpful to New Jersey. There's about $750 million in competitive grants for worker training. New Jersey, as you know, has already been mentioned today, is a national leader in solar energy production. We produce the second most solar energy in the nation after California. So this would be a great grant. This is under the Department of Labor. And again, if you look through this, you can figure out exactly how to apply for it. And I really think, look, this money is huge. It is spent very quickly, in some cases, within the next few weeks, the next few months, and it behooves the towns and those who are involved here today to try to take advantage of it, because it really is important in terms of the green initiatives that we're discussing at the conference today. Now, the second thing is the global warming legislation. Our chairman of our committee, Henry Waxman, of the Energy and Commerce Committee, has basically announced that we're going to get this bill to the floor by Memorial Day of this year. And of course, President Obama has stressed it, and the heart of it is the cap-and-trade system that Robert Kennedy mentioned. The goal is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 80% from 2005 levels by the year 2050. And we basically set short and long-term emission targets, periodic adjustments necessary to meet these emission reduction standards. Now, from a New Jersey perspective, I think the most important aspect of it is that it avoids, the catastrophic effects that come from global climate change. I live at the shore, so we're worried about sea level rise. We know about the frequent weather events, the hurricanes, and et cetera, that are becoming more frequent, and poor air quality in inner cities that Robert Kennedy mentioned. But the second part of this, and very important part of this global warming legislation, is to try to establish a renewable electricity standard. And I think many of you know that in New Jersey we have one that says 20% of our electricity needs has to come from renewable energy by 2020. New Jersey, again, is in the forefront. Well, we like to have a national standard. And so what we have in the legislation is to 25% of our energy come from renewables by the year 2025. That's the goal. Again, as already been mentioned, PSC&G, actually, Ralph Izzo bill came down to our energy subcommittee. Then we had a hearing on this legislation about a week ago and talked about what PSC&G is doing. He announced the Solar for All program that's going to invest about $800 million to bring solar energy to communities. This is panels on brownfield sites, government buildings, low-income housing, even on utility poles. The committee was most interested in the utility poles because apparently that's very unique and something that hasn't really been done in a lot of other places. So again, I mentioned PSC&G because this initiative, this Solar for All program, creates about 400 to 500 jobs every year in New Jersey. So it is job creation, green jobs at the same time that we're doing these things with renewable energy. The last thing I want to talk about very briefly is energy efficiency, because about half of the programs that are in the stimulus package will promote energy efficiency. In December 2007, a McKinsey company analysis predicted that by 2030, the U.S. could use current and emerging technologies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40 to 60% of current levels. And a big part of that is energy efficiency in buildings, for all the different purposes, for lighting, heating, cooling, and all that. Now, I wanted to mention again what in this document that we have on the website, in this case on the Jersey City website, there are two types of block grants for energy efficiency. There's a program that has several $1 billion nationally that actually goes directly to towns, and they qualify for it by formula. And you can look up on the website and see whether your town and municipality would qualify. And then there's about $400 million for those that are not formula driven, that is actually done through competitive grants for this, basically for energy efficiency for municipalities. And I know that Jersey City and other towns, a lot of the towns in my district, Highland Park is one that's done a lot in terms of trying to upgrade their buildings and make them more energy efficient. But again, there's a lot of money here available for this purpose, and you'd be remiss if you didn't spend the time looking at this and trying to see whether you qualify.